Currently, personal social media in modern-day society almost seems like an obligation for individuals owning smartphones. With the majority of individuals on social media in America, I began to think on the social control it has over us, leading me to my research question. Is social media eliminating our free will? To answer this, I will be going into my roadmap. First, I will define the theory I chose to explore, determinism. Then I will apply this theory to social media. Next, I will be analyzing the modern film, Bandersnatch. And finally, I will go into my conclusion. Before analyzing the main media, Bandersnatch, it is essential to understand the main topic that I will be examining, determinism, more specifically, media determinism. Media determinism is the unifying thought of technology being the prime mover in history. To expand on this, I will be discussing Daniel Chandler's essay, Technological or Media Determinism, in which he tries to recognize media determinism through a social and historical context, and Martin Hurst's essay, One Tweet Does Not a Revolution Make. Firstly, Daniel Chandler's article, Technological or Media Determinism, synthesizes and summarizes the theory of media determinism through social and historical contexts. Chandler frames technology as an integral part of society. He remains objective all throughout his article and states, any technological change which is great enough is likely to produce some social change. Alternatively, Martin Hurst discusses the problems of technological determinism through a journalistic lens, specifically analyzing the Arab Spring in his article, One Tweet Does Not a Revolution Make. Hurst agrees with Chandler in technology producing social change. He differs in pointing out its problematic influence in the media, stating its results should not be held as truth. Hurst writes of the Arab Spring, a series of uprisings in the Middle East, and its 2010 social media uprising, although the protests had started early in 2003. The reason this history has been skewed is a result of biased journalistic coverage, negatively affecting individual opinion in history. We will go further into this bias with social media. The theory of media determinism, analyzed through a journalistic lens, can be mirrored with social media. Social media incorporated journalism through web news, articles, videos, etc. This theory evolves into a more specific social media determinism, which creates a theory one could present by saying that most, if not all, thoughts and notions of modern-day individuals are influenced by popular culture. Cyclical comfortability of biased news. The bias built with journal articles holds complex soft determinism factors, but ultimately boils down to convenience. This bias, specifically from Western media outlets, is created from lack of coverage, politics, pro-business, and pro-capital regimen. The simplicity of works to relate to the masses provides comfortability to both viewers and creators. According to a new survey by the Pew Research Center, 62% of Americans receive most or some of their news from social media, making this knowledge of bias a modern concern. People in power, social media owners and CEOs, drive the bias in the media and therefore govern the individuals that use their sites. The ironic factor with social media is its selling point. Social media claims to give people power, freedom of speech, etc., but when analyzed further, it does the opposite. Biased news creates misinformation. Misinformation creates false ideas. Furthermore, social media influences an individual's identity. Social media's application and algorithmic coding suggests and shows viewers what it assumes they want. Therefore, the algorithm has built the individual's evolved personal identity. Jaron Lanier relies on biology, claiming the introduction of social media created a behavioral evolution in individuals. Lanier wrote a top 10 list titled, Why Social Media is Destroying Your Free Will. He poses that social media hinders free will because it takes away the unpredictability and creativity you give to the world. Lanier's behaviorist theory, coupled with social media determinism, follows the idea of modern society's lack of free will. The realization of media's repetitive pattern is not new, as the generation born in the 21st century is keenly aware of social media's connection with their identity. Film and television often reference rapid technological advancement taking over daily aspects of everyday life. A prominent series constantly dealing with a dystopian technology societies is Netflix Black Mirror. In late December last year, Black Mirror released an interactive choose-your-own-adventure movie, Bandersnatch, that dealt with modern technological determinism. Directed by David Slade and written by Charlie Brooker, the film deals with aspiring 1984 video game designer Stephen Butler, played by Fionn Whitehead, testing the idea of free will through his choose-your-own-adventure game, while the film also is an interactive choose-your-own-adventure within itself. Throughout his video game coding, Stefan becomes consumed by his project, constantly working and thinking about Bandersnatch, taking a toll on his mental state. Each playthrough of the film is unique, based on binary decisions made by players along the way, allowing the users to remain engaged. I will analyze determinist factors thematically through government control, choice, and modern free will. One particular scene focuses on the contemporary concept of control through a monologue by omniscient meta-character Colin Rittman, played by Will Poulter. His hyper-awareness stems from his philosophy of multiple universes and ultimately having no free will. I will play this scene now.
You make a decision, you think it's you doing it, but it's not. It's the spirit out there that's connected to our world that decides what we do, and we just have to go along for the ride. Mirrors let you move through time. The government monitors people. They pay people to pretend to be your relatives. And they put drugs in your food. And they film you. There's messages in every game.
Within this scene, Colin Rittman reveals a not-so-hidden theme in Bandersnatch. The idea of government control. They film you is a contemporary statement. As mentioned before, social media privacy and viewership is a modern outlook of technological determinism. In the film, the government is monitoring Stefan and tries to keep him complacent. At least that's one of the outlooks of it. But the film itself is a flowchart of binary coding for the story controlling Butler as well, undermining. Overall, the scene is undermined by its stylistic elements. The emotionally charged and colorful scene within it, both Rittman and Butler are on the hallucinogenic drug LSD. Rittman is hyper-aware and serious, while Butler is calm and hallucinogenic. The scene pulsates with bright neon lights surrounding the boys in the living room. The music from the scene is low, but rapid, and the rhythm flows, escalating to Rittman's climax, which is ultimately him jumping over his balcony. The music and scene's tone contrast and reduce Rittman's monologue to a hallucinating rant. The contrast can be for the current storyline in 1984, seen as Rittman being insane for his philosophy, or the contrast could make the viewer undermine him as well, and if it were a regular film. But the realization of control and choosing your own game, viewers recognize that Rittman is a serious and maybe hyper-aware character. The contrast may also cause viewers to see the undermining done to Rittman mirror the real-world issues, yet the complacency of social media causes individuals to ignore it. This scene encompasses Bandersnatch themes of control and manipulation through the character Colin Rittman, allowing the viewers to analyze the film's overall meaning of free will. Rittman briefly introduces the illusion of choice, and throughout the film, concepts of choice reveal themselves as well. Bandersnatch's format relies on viewer interaction and engagement. The viewer is immediately thrown into a godlike role with the mundane choice of Quaker Sugar Puffs or Kellogg's Frosties decision. In this scene, the viewer is introduced to two aspects of Bandersnatch. One being the false illusion of choice, where either choice creates the same outcome, and two, the determinism of the film the viewers play with. Later, while in therapy, Stefan is given a choice to speak about his mother. If no is selected, the player will be asked again with an option of yes or no. An "are you sure" scenario, driven by Stefan's therapist repeating, "you will learn something new," to the viewer. This second option drives the player to reconsider and want to drive the narrative background of the film. This is where the interactive film falters, trying to push the narrative curiosity forward and trying to get you to a final outcome of the game. Furthermore, each choice is given 10 seconds with a line depicting the timer, creating the feeling of being rushed, having to make the decision, or the decision will be made for you. Fans have created charts to display and explain all the possible endings within the game. When viewing these charts, there is a visual representation of the little choices the player has that affect the story. First, there are 5 main endings, 6 dead ends, and 5 regression stages, which take you back to choose the opposite option, displaying your lack of choice and the lack of choice of Stefan in the end. As a film, Bandersnatch addresses the idea of determinism and free will through its narration and cinematography, but there was buzz surrounding the movie after its release, allowing fans to realize the deterministic factors in their real world. When in outrage, social media is an outlet for others to relate amongst each other. Amongst Twitter, viewers began to joke about Netflix taking their data and controlling them as they controlled Stefan. Interestingly, Michael Veal, a technology policy researcher at the University of College of London, joined in on the Twitter discourse. After reaching out to Netflix, once jokes of data collection emerged, Vial used the jokes as an opportunity to show people the benefit of data protection law. Netflix complied and gave Vial his PDF file with a data key via encrypted email. Their reasoning for data collection was to inform the personalized recommendations you see in future visits. There is an optimistic outlook to come from Vial's action rather than a fearful Black Mirror outlook. This option allows companies to remain cautious in the data collection process, but it must also be noted that this policy is within the UK, and the US has not yet set laws similar to this. But if we were to take the Black Mirror outlook of it, this new format of entertainment may get out of hand. What other information can the government gather from us? What can Netflix gather from us from just playing a simple game? In the end, going back to my research question, the film's format and interactive elements place viewers in a unique position and control, causing people to actively think about their actions and speak about them with others. So is social media eliminating our free will? The film begs the question, does Western contemporary society require determinism to remain stable? Human thought in general needs drive and influence to create, so are we not being manipulated to believe that we have free will? As seen through my presentation, social media and Netflix are documenting our actions in their databases, and contemporary society is keenly aware of this, enough to joke about it. Bandersnatch addresses present faults in our contemporary culture, from the government to personal technological manipulation. Ultimately, Bandersnatch teaches us that taking different journeys still ultimately lead us to the same destination. Thank you. Here are my works cited. And be careful. They're watching.